So a couple quick introductions here. Again, I'm Rick Nicholson. You can see me on the left there. Arthur Lee is the, we'll do further introductions here in just a minute, but Arthur Lee is the project coordinator for the county on this project. Excuse me one second. And he is a project specialist in Snohomish County, surface water management, and he's been working here since 2006 and on the MPDES. And you're going to have a list of acronyms that show up in the chat here in a little bit. So don't worry about trying to remember all these acronyms right now. And he's been in stormwater planning, and he's the project manager for this current Little Bear Creek stormwater management plan effort. And he was the project manager for the development of the Little Bear Creek Basin Plan that was submitted to the Department of Ecology in 2017. So he's got a long history with this project. Alexa Ramos Cummings is a senior planner in Snohomish County Surface Water Management, and she's worked there since 2015 on salmon recovery, education, outreach, and now stormwater planning. And she's helping to lead the public involvement process for this Little Bear Creek stormwater action management effort. We're also joined by a number of other staff from other county departments, including folks representing salmon and road maintenance and operations and drainage issues and the comprehensive plan and more. And there will be opportunity for them, if necessary, to answer questions that may come up that you may have today. So there's a lot of county expertise available for you today. We're also joined by the team from Parametrics, Paul Fent and Nikki Redden. These are consultants who are the technical lead on the project. Paul is a senior consultant with Parametrics. He's a Northwest-based environmental, and it's a Northwest-based environmental consulting firm with experience in stormwater management and Northwest stream restoration. And he's, again, supporting the county with engineering and design of the proposed SMAP potential projects in this public review process. Nikki is an engineer too in Parametrics surface water team. At this point, I'd like to open it up for opening remarks for Greg Ferris, the Stormwater Management Director. Greg, I turn it over to you.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, like Rick said, I'm the director for the Snohomish County Surface Water Management Utility. We're part of the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources here at Snohomish County. So on behalf of the county, just want to welcome all of you to the meeting here today. Also want to acknowledge, I believe, Councilmember Sam Lowe, one of our county council members, is here with us today. So just want to express our appreciation for him for joining us. And so thank you. Also, I just wanted to mention, I think most of you may know this, but if not, this planning effort that we've been on is a requirement for our county's NPDES permit. It's a permit that is for water quality that's issued by the State Department of Ecology. And so this is something that the team has been working on, both the staff and consultants, for a while. So we're definitely looking forward to kind of presenting to you today where we're at and get your feedback, your input. So again, thanks to everyone for joining us, and I'll hand it back to you, Rick.
Thank you, Greg. And now I'd like to turn it over to Arthur Lee, the project manager, for some opening remarks. Arthur, can you hear us?
Thank you. Forgot to unmute. Yeah, I just want to give you a quick intro to the Little Bear Creek watershed. We'll have a little bit more in the presentation to come on the Little Bear Creek Stormwater Management Action Plan. But first, a little intro about Little Bear Creek watershed or basin. Little Bear Creek drains more than 15 square miles in South Snohomish County and Northern King County. It's one of 4 major tributaries to the Snohomish River, and as such is an important resource for fish recreation and open space. Approximately 13.3 or 4 square miles are in the Snohomish County unincorporated area, and that's what the study area is for the Stormwater Management Action Plan. We focus on the portion that's within Snohomish County jurisdiction. Compared to other nearby watersheds undergoing urbanization, Little Bear Creek has relatively good water quality and stream habitat conditions. However, land development over time has affected water quality and flow patterns in the watershed. Even with increased stormwater treatment associated with redevelopment, Little Bear Creek will fall short of certain water quality standards and targets, as we found with the 2017 Little Bear Creek Basin Plan study. And now the Basin Plan study, which was completed in 2017, addresses the upper portion of the watershed. It's located in an urbanizing area that's between cities of Bothell, Mill Creek, and Woodinville, bordering to the west, northwest, and south. And these areas that were slightly outside of the watershed, as you can see in the picture, drain back into the county. They were included in the study. We have analyzed and have an idea about what areas need to be improved in order to address legacy water quality impacts, and I'll be relaying those more in the upcoming presentation in a moment. Thank you. Back to you, Rick.
Thank you, Arthur. So just a brief review of what the goals are for the meeting today. The main one is to give you all an overview of what the Stormwater Management Action Plan process and the potential projects and actions are, to bring you up to speed. Another is to provide an opportunity for feedback on what these potential projects and actions are, and also to provide an opportunity for input on future engagement opportunities. So the agenda looks like this. We're just about ready to get into Arthur's presentation here in a moment. We're going to have a question and answer period after he's done that, and then just chance for general feedback as well. We're going to have breakout rooms as well toward the end of the meeting. There'll be 2 breakout rooms, and folks will automatically be ushered into one or the other, and the questions that we have for you will be in the breakout room. Those will be facilitated breakout rooms. And then we'll leave about maybe 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the meeting for a chance to hear what feedback you had in the breakout rooms on those questions. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we will adjourn right around 3:30. So just as a way to kind of get warmed up a little bit, we'd like to try to have you, if you're interested, to do this warm-up question. And you can add your answer to the chat. And the question is, what is an aspect of the Little Bear Creek watershed that is important to you? And you can provide any answer that feels right to you. So feel free to use the chat. Very good. Preservation of natural environment, fish habitat, water quality, salmon recovery. Yeah, spawning. Water quality restoration. Excellent. Yeah, there's some definite themes there. Okay. Okay, at this time, we're going to turn it over to Arthur Lee for his presentation.
Thank you. Let me share my screen in a moment. Let's see. Here we go. Can everybody see the opening slide of my presentation?
Yep, looks good.
Thank you. So good afternoon. I'm Arthur Lee, project manager for the Snohomish County Little Bear Creek Stormwater Management Action Plan Project, or SMAP or SMAP. Assisting the county on this project are the 2 consultant teams of Peak Sustainability, providing public involvement support, and parametrics providing public involvement engineering support. I want to thank you all for coming to the stakeholder meeting. In this presentation, we will be going over one, a little background behind watersheds and the importance of stormwater. Two, a little background on why we are doing this project to develop a Stormwater Management Action Plan, or SMAP, for the Little Bear Creek watershed. Three, what the county is doing and considering for Little Bear Creek SMAP. Four, the project schedule for the SMAP and project implementation schedule. And five, how you can stay informed and involved. Stormwater effects on stream flows change with more development. The greater levels of development increase runoff magnitudes and decrease flows between storms. Stream flows also change more rapidly. Water rises faster and falls faster than it does in a forest stream. This has bad effects on the creatures that live in the stream. And I seem to have skipped over this slide that actually maybe the sequence is good too here. As you can see, as I was describing about the change of stormwater conditions with urbanization, Little Bear Creek has a little bit of everything in there. The watershed has forest, it has a rural area, it has city area. And as you can see, the behavior of stormwater infiltration, of natural processes with evapotranspiration and such, and interflow, and then recharge to groundwater and then surface runoff, they vary as you go across the gradient of different surface conditions. From the forest, where you have a high level of infiltration and a high level of evapotranspiration, going on to the city, where you have reduced infiltration and less evapotranspiration. And along with the changes in the hydrology and the behavior of the water flow, we have impacts on water quality as well. Pollutants also get entrained into stormwater from developed areas and urban activity. As you can see in the next three images, stormwater flow and other alterations to stream channels increase erosion and stormwater conveyance. From the more natural image you saw just a moment ago, we have the increased pulses and intensities of storms and runoff affecting the stream bed morphology. But these also have further impacts in terms of the appearance and the water quality nature of the stream. And all these have a cumulative impact on the freshwater life and ultimately to sea life in Puget Sound. So why are we doing the Stormwater Management Action Plan? The Little Bear Creek Basin Plan, which preceded the Stormwater Management Action Plan, was required in the previous 2013 through 19 NPDES, or National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit. And we like using the acronym, it's a little bit easier to say. The Little Bear Creek Basin Plan provided technical basis for improvements addressing 4 water quality parameters: fecal coliform, dissolved copper and zinc, temperature, and BI, which is an aquatic biological health index. Here's a little close-up of the Little Bear Creek watershed. The Little Bear Creek Basin Plan was completed, and we found that with current regulation, there's modest improvement in water quality with the current comprehensive plan and protections in the code. However, to address legacy impacts, there are more water quality improvements needed through retrofits and programs. The cost estimate was about $308 million in 2016 dollars. And the Little Bear Creek Basin Plan noted it would have to be largely grant supported, with some support from the county stormwater program and support from other agencies and entities. There was no requirement to implement the Little Bear Creek Basin Plan under the 2013 county stormwater permit, but the Basin Plan gave us an idea of what needs to be done and about, well, where. And so going on further, we have now a new permit, the 2019 to 24 NPDES stormwater permit, and it has requirements for a 20-year action plan for Little Bear Creek Basin. The action plan has to address near-term actions in the first 6 years, long-term actions for the next 14 years after that, and if not mentioned or covered in the Little Bear Creek Basin Plan, we have to include land management development strategies. The Little Bear Creek watershed SMAP is due the end of this year, and then must be submitted to ecology in the first quarter of next year. A little bit more detail on what the SMAP needs to cover. Short term, years 1 through 6, capital projects, land management development strategies, if not originally covered in the Little Bear Creek Basin Plan or brought out, and program enhancements. There are 4 potential areas where we can address programs. And then long term, similar to the short term, but more broadly. This map also needs to include an implementation schedule and funding strategy and provisions for adaptive management. After the Little Bear Creek Basin Plan was completed in 2017, the county did not wait to see what would happen next. We had a brand spanking new basin plan with all kinds of good ideas. And so we proceeded to conduct a couple of studies to see what could be done with the information gathered in the basin plan. And they were the drainage CIP study, CIP being short for capital improvement. These were retrofits for water quality. And then we had an in-stream project study because we wanted to address the habitat conditions that were impacted by stormwater. And out of this study, we piloted on 2 capital projects. One is a retrofit in the northern headwaters area of the watershed, and the other one is an in-stream project closer to the lower portion of Little Bear Creek in the Carousel Ranch Park property. We also were fortunate to be able to attain a grant and pilot an enhanced operation and maintenance program in terms of high efficiency street sweeping. And this is able to pick up particles as small as 2.5 microns. And like I said, that's a pilot, and we'll be seeing how that could continue in coming years. We also have a potential conservation opportunity or 2 or 3 that we're following up on. So it's not to say that we're waiting for things to happen. We're trying to engage them as they happen. The Little Bear Creek SMAP goes beyond this and proposes some potential priority projects, as you can see in this slide. We have 3 to 6 more capital projects, 1 to 2 in the short term, and 2 to 4 more in the long term, in the upper watershed and in the lower watershed. We have in the beige color dots, these are the completed projects that were just done. And in the green dots, we have the potential priority projects that could go in. Total is up to 8 projects with the 2 completed. And I would like to now hand this over to Paul Fent of Parametrics, who will be providing more detail about these potential priority projects and their concepts. Paul?
So Arthur showed you the map that shows those three dots that are up in the north end of the watershed. And one of those 3 dots is what's called Site 10 in the plan. And this is, and the next one are retrofits of existing stormwater facility. And what we mean by retrofit is to change the configuration or the operation of the stormwater facility to improve its management of either flow control or water quality or both. So what's proposed in this facility is, which right now is primarily a flow control facility, although it does have some few elements that improve water quality, and there's some incidental infiltration and water quality components to it. The main change that would occur in this facility is a deepening. So we'd be removing about up to 3 feet of the bottom of the facility to add a lot more potential storage that would be used for flow control in the system. And this meets a strong objective of the plan, and that is that to enhance and optimize all the stormwater facilities that the county already operates, the lands and facilities, to get the most out of them in the ways that we can. So what's proposed again is the deepening. There will be some other modest modifications in order to improve the way that it functions, notably a constructed pre-settling pond to improve the ability to maintain and remove some of the larger materials that come into these facilities. And then we would be modifying the outlet in order to take advantage of that additional storage that would be provided. Next slide. This is another facility in the same development, the Silver First development. It's called Site 16. Again, one of those three green dots that you saw on the map before. The same idea is it would be looking at most of it would be deepening the facility up to 3 feet deep to provide additional storage that could be manage the flows that are coming into the facility and release them at a different rate or at an even slower rate than they are right now and to improve downstream flow management and flow peakiness and flooding. One of the other things that's anticipated or expected from this facility and the other one is additional infiltration can occur, notably in the summer months and possibly all year round, which will further improve the flow control capabilities and also add to the water quality capabilities by removing some of the water that has stormwater contaminants in it. There may be other modifications that would be done to enhance and optimize the treatment and the flow control here, including modifying the outlet structure. Next slide. The third capital project, which is considered or called Site 34, the third green dot in the map that Arthur was showing earlier, includes actual spot retrofitting of an existing roadway in the basin. So what you'll may notice is there's a a roadway that runs up and vertically in the map on the left, and right in the center, and that is 52nd Street, 52nd North Southeast. And what the proposal is to do what are called we've been calling bump outs into the pavement. So what the project would be is to remove a chunk of pavement and actually add a rain garden or an infiltration basin into the existing roadway in this bump out, revegetate it so that it has all the aspects of a typical rain garden. And with this facility, we would be taking out and removing pollutants that are in the stormwater, specifically in the targeted roadway, and also infiltrating that water so that it would further reduce the amount of water that's going to those facilities, that's going into Lower Bear. These bump outs are right now, there's up to 5 of these bump outs that are proposed. Their overall configuration is intended to infiltrate the water quality design storm, and they are intended to bulb out and push out about 10 feet, about a lane width into the existing street. There are other benefits that come from these, including some aesthetic improvements when they're well maintained, and also some traffic calming that can occur here. We've located about there's up to 5 of these are proposed of various lengths in order to try to retrofit as much of the road as possible between the 2 crossroads that you see on the map on the left. So this is an important approach, an important example approach of how to do targeted stormwater retrofitting of higher impact impervious surfaces using right of way and available county-owned lands in the rights of way. Next slide. The fourth project has a little bit of different character to it, and this has to do with it's a retrofit of the dog areas of the proposed dog area, off-leash dog areas in the Carousel Ranch. And right now, these are fairly open areas that don't have necessarily any water quality impacts, but they do have some flow control impacts. It's anticipated with the dog walk areas that there could be some water quality impacts in the watershed. Consequently, there's an interest in doing flow control, water quality controls of runoff from the dog walk areas. What you see on here is a prior proposal. There are some modifications that are underway to this proposal, but the mitigations of treating stormwater runoff from this dog walk area are the same, and that is to collect and do either some sort of filtered media removal or infiltration, or other proposed stormwater BMPs that would manage stormwater from these dog off-leash dog areas. So this is another water quality retrofit in the basin that's proposed in one of the 4 capital projects that are proposed in the plan. Next slide. Arthur also mentioned, in addition to these capital projects, there are 2 proposed in-stream projects, and they're in-stream restorations or modifications or enhancements. And they're numbered LBO2 and LBO3. This is LBO3, and both of them have fairly similar approaches. LBO3 is looking at, it is an area that has some encroachment into the riparian zone of the basin from the roadway. So there's some proposal to enhance and modify the habitat and diversify the habitat, mainly with additional woody debris in these reaches. And again, with woody debris, we would, in large wood additions, we would modify and amplify the diversity of the channel dislocation. We would also look to protecting the stream from the roadway encroachment and the roadway and vice versa, so that no additional mitigation measures for any erosion would be needed. It also includes riparian plantings that are seen and known to provide a lot of benefits for biological input into the streams and for the shading for the temperature. So if you recall, what's one of the main goals was of the overall plan, it was temperature mitigation. So this project is a wood debris enhancement for diversification and a riparian replacement and planting to mitigate existing riparian impacts. Next slide. This is a project LBO2. It doesn't have the same encroachment or proximity to the roadway, but it is another reach that has some impacts and could benefit from additional wood placement to, again, diversify habitat and to provide some stability from some urbanized downcutting and urbanized erosion. And then it also includes some of the riparian plantings that we would be proposing in the other reach. So both of these projects are localized spot channel improvements that are diversifying habitat by inclusion of additional wood and riparian replanting plants. That's it, I think. Arthur, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. I'd like to just point out something that was in this first slide, and that actually acts as a nice recap. And that is, we see LBO2 and LBO3 as downstream habitat improvement projects. They work as synergistically with CC01 or the Carousel Ranch Cutthroat Creek Riparian Restoration and Habitat Improvement Project that was just finished this summer. The exciting thing about this is that Cutthroat Creek is a cold water source for Little Bear Creek and helps to promote Chinook habitat in the lower reaches of Little Bear Creek downstream. And that's what LBO2 and LBO3 could synergize, work together with. Now, these properties involved are WSDOT properties, and we're working collaboratively with WSDOT in furthering discussions and collaboration for these potential projects. Okay. Along with the potential projects that we've just described, we're looking at potential land management actions. That's a requirement of Little Bear Creek SMAP regulation. And there have been opportunities to pursue conservation properties in the Middle Little Bear Creek area and in the Cutthroat Creek area. And along with these property acquisitions, we've also have an ongoing riparian planting program through our native plant nursery that's operated by Surface Water Management. And this is on a voluntary basis, but they did provide riparian planting for the Cutthroat Creek Habitat Restoration Project, and they've done so for other projects as well. Along with the conservation and riparian efforts, we're also coordinating, Surface Water Management staff is coordinating with Planning and Development Services staff on the 2024 Comprehensive Plan Update, providing information and support of further evaluation for water quality and other considerations, not only in Little Bear Creek, but also countywide. And there are other activities going on with the comprehensive plan engagement that allow us to further support areas such as the tree canopy motion that's being considered, and other aspects of the comprehensive plan, critical area regulations, and so on. Along with the projects and the land management development strategies, we're also required to look at potential program enhancements. And these are in 4 possible areas: in source control prioritization, in operations and maintenance enhancement, in illicit discharge detection elimination, or field screening in this case, and education and outreach for behavior change. And one thing I would like to discuss in particular is high efficiency sweeping. Snohomish County was able to attain a grant, and what you see in this slide, this image, if I can get my cursor up there, these are the UGA areas and the higher levels of curbed streets where there was a focus of high efficiency sweeping for improved benefit in terms of picking up small particles. And this is the 2nd year of the pilot study. The county will be going through some evaluation. There is a commitment to continue with the program. However, the actual distribution of sweeping routes, frequency, and costs countywide, as well as in Little Bear Creek, will depend on the evaluation and future annual program budgeting. And one more statement about here, that with the evaluation, they must be found to be feasible and effective, and then they can go into the annual program budgeting process with these enhancements. We have a near-term SMAP schedule and a long-term SMAP schedule. Here's the near term. We have to develop this report and plan and submit it to ecology. And it's due at the end of this year for completion, and submittal is to be done in March of next year. Right now, we're having the stakeholder meeting. It's online. Prior to this, we had some individual stakeholder outreach. In coming weeks, we will finish the draft report and have a public meeting in November. And I believe the date now is November 17. And then in December, of course, we'll complete the final report. And to recap, the SMAP will be implemented over a number of years. The first 6 years is short term, 1 to 2 capital projects potentially, land acquisitions up to 3. We'll have ongoing programs in repair and restoration and so on, and program enhancement possibilities and possible implementation. In the long term, we're looking at some additional capital projects. Right now, we don't have additional land acquisitions identified. We'll be on the lookout for them. Repair and restoration will continue. And we have program enhancements that could be further implemented over coming years. And then there will be adaptive management. So what's it all going to cost? Well, preliminary estimates are in the range of about $1.3 to $1.6 million in the short term. And potentially an additional $0.7 to $1.4 million over the long term in capital costs. So it's up to about $3 million over the 20-year timeframe for the SMAP. Operational costs have not been estimated and would be part of the total picture. Also, some of these costs were estimated earlier from shortly after the time of the Little Bear Creek Basin Plan and may be updated to reflect more recent cost escalations. So how to stay informed and involved. You see a picture or an image of the Little Bear Creek Stormwater Management Action Plan webpage, and project updates will be posted there. And there's also, I believe, a way of providing contact information for you to keep involved and informed. You can also take a look for more general information about the county stormwater utility at SWIM's general webpage at www.surfacewater.info. And it has all kinds of information about the various programs SWIM operates for water quality, surface water management, and so on. So to recap, we are currently doing our stakeholder meeting. There'll be a public meeting in November, and I believe now it's November 17th. We'll be updating that slide there with the time and date. And then there'll be future outreach, and there'll be an email sign up for that. And that concludes my presentation. I believe that I'll turn this back now to you, Rick.